Collections of some of the players like Jonathan Denga, and on the women's side, Dane Magordo. Those were some of the big names that stood out in that era.
Dane, of course, just an amazing athlete. Could play every sport and excel at it. Jonathan, we talked about off camera. I could see that Jonathan, he could play at a good strong level, but then when he was challenged, he became a beast.
Yes.
In a good way. There was no one who could stay with him, and I remember one of the early games. I think it was against Boys High. The elbows were up too high. You could tell the person who was trying to get position was wanting to turn and use their elbows in a way to try to intimidate or hurt, and he got an elbow to the face, and Jonathan became Superman. His play was just astounding, and for Coach DeWolf and I, we kind of wondered, can we get someone to elbow him at the beginning of every game so that we can see this incredible athlete? And Jonathan, if you're watching, my apologies, it's probably very culturally inappropriate, but I know that if we saw a sort of a regular play from the team, we'd call a quick timeout and go over to Jonathan and just tap him on the chest and say, they can't hang with you. You're better than everyone here. Play your best. But I would do it hard enough that he would begin to say, don't do that. Don't do that. And then I would try to apologize and at the same time say, now you're ready.
Yes.
Let them see.
Let them see the beast.
See the beast.
Yes. Awesome. So then the big year, 1992, that year I saw the most epic game I'd ever seen at Hartsville. This was the year that Mtare Boys Eye had the tall gum trees, Solomon Janakira, Nanchito, they're the point guard, Godfrey King, they're another shooting guard, Percy Zoa, and they were just an unbelievable team. That year, our senior team, we had in Form 5, Faraichi Zungu, and in Form 4s, we had Nisbet Matondo, Prosper Nyamande, Gerald Penzula Mafunda, the lefty, of course Munyaraji Nyananda, Brian Chikata, Gunyanya Majiwa, I think Archibald Garadzandima, Tapua Nzara, a couple of those guys, Duke Sitole. But basically we're a team, Nisbet Matondo, but we're basically a team of smaller guys. Yes. And I don't know if you remember the game a couple of weeks before the championship.
Very much so.
We played against Boys Eye, I think in Boys Eye.
In town.
And they beat us by
badly.
50 points or something.
It was like a young high school team against grown men, a club team. It was just abysmal. We were no match. Even the enormous and massive Nisbet could not handle all of that height and all of that strength and power that was inside. And I don't know if you remember, but of course you always negotiated what the time was going to be, 15-minute halves or 20-minute halves, and then if they were to stop at every timeout, or if it was just a running clock. And
right.
I think we agreed on the 15-minute half, and we thought it was a stop clock, but it was running. And I think Boys High, it seemed like they dunked every shot. I don't think they were dunking back then, but it was so dominant, and it was, I don't remember what it was, like 36 to 4 or something like that at halftime, and we were stunned that it was already at half, and we called for them to stop the clock in the second half and let's go 20 minutes. And then after that, I think we were sorry we did that. It was just humiliating.
So coming back from that game, I'm sure, as a coach, you and Coach DeWolf, you have to play Boys Eye again in about 3 weeks. what's the discussion on the way back after such a drum beating of loss?
Yes, there's coaching and then there's impossibility. And so I think for Coach DeWolf and I, it was just a realization there's no way. This is a mismatch. This is David and Goliath. And I know that we had conversation over the next number of days, and perhaps it was a couple of weeks. And but I remember just within a week or so of the game, it wasn't a strategy back in the day to use the 3-point line, and I'm sorry, you would know if you took a 3-point shot, you'd be out of the game.
Out of the game.
And a lot of guys would. We wanted to work the ball inside and get good shots, but we realized there was going to have to be a new strategy, a new way that they had never seen and would not be able to defend. So for a week, we practiced actually rebounding. We wanted different guys to take 3-point shots to understand that the rebounds would come out much further away from the basket where all of the big trees would be, and to prepare you all for a different kind of rebounding position. And then it was clear to us, through the two of us, that we were going to, our strategy was going to be to use all 3-point shots, unless there was an open layup. And so I remember the last practice as we were preparing you all, we explained that to you. This is how we will win the game. We will take good 3-point shots. We will be passing around the perimeter, and every good shot is a 3-point shot by our best shooters. That's what we wanted. Everyone else was rebounding as a team, and quickness to the ball where it was coming off. And
right.
I remember as we practiced it, we did it for about 15 minutes. We asked, does everyone understand? Everyone said yes, and we said, great. Now you can go to the dormitories. We're ready to win. And so as Coach DeWolf and I came up the steps and embankment to the top and talked a little bit and looked back, you all were still going and doing full court and just wearing yourselves out. And we stopped and said, look, the strategy is the strategy. This is how you will win. So you have everything you need. Just remember the strategy, and we'll take them. And we did.
Yep. That was the most electric game
Yes.
I think I'd ever seen at Hartsville. That was actually the first time I saw coaches get picked up over people's shoulders and carried around in celebration.
So Steph Curry and all of the NBA, now that's the only strategy they use these days.
Yes, yes.
All the analytics and stats will say that the best procedure in a game, the best strategy is to use the 3-point shot. And
Well, if the NBA is listening, they need to know the NBA, the 3-point game started with Hartsville in 1992.
Yes.
So, Coach, you mentioned an interesting topic of analytics and statistics. I think 92, 93, I think that's the first time I had seen anybody capture statistics for games, deflections, rebounds, steals. Then I also remember 93, first term, you had all of us players on the senior team. You had us do, athletic evaluation, broad jumps, vertical leap tests, seeing how many, layups you could make in a period of 5 minutes end to end, and then you started doing video breakdown. People would come to your house and would watch games from Duke, or the few times you're able to record our games, you'd replay the games. I mean, this was revolutionary, at least at that time. Where did all these ideas come from? And before there was really analytics, how did you use the stats you gathered during practice and during game time to help individual players?
I remember at the time you all had come to watch Michael Jordan on tape and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And he was a worldwide phenomenon, the highest paid player in the world. But then the second highest player in the world was Dennis Rodman, who did nothing who could hardly shoot the ball, but he was just a dynamic rebounder. That was his game. There was just one part of his game. And if you have a player on your team who can get every single miss and give it back to you for another shot, then you are very valuable. So that was, I do remember with a couple of the players to be able to say, do you understand if you do just one part of the game really, really well, it is incredibly valuable to your team. And so all of those analytics, all of that running to be able to determine who had the kind of, today I guess they would call it the quick muscle.
Yes, fast twitch.
Fast twitch muscles to see which players we needed at which positions, which ones could endure a full court game for long periods of time, which ones were better at particular situations, so that each of you could discover your own gift, the way in which each of your gifts could work together to be able to make a dynamic team.
Awesome.
And you were all dynamic.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And now, Mrs. Reavis, around this time, you had settled in as a math and science teacher. Those early years, 91, 92, I think some of your students, Lieutenant Winding was one of your students. I think at some point, Titus Mutsaka, is Mildred Maaji. You know, what were your first impressions of the thirst for knowledge in Zimbabwean students compared to your experience teaching in America as well?
It was just such a great joy to teach students who were so dedicated and so willing to work and do what they needed to do every day. I remember the first holiday